Willie Roaf.
Oh.
Happy 52nd birthday to Willie Roaf, the perfect name.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
I want to get to what happened with Mike Breen and the call at the end of that historic game, and how many perfectionists in broadcasting are saying you had a call for all time and you stepped in it with "they waved it off," is what you yelled in the middle of the pandemonium. They waved it off. Everyone's jumping around, and you're the only voice saying that historic moment you saw just didn't happen. Like Mike Breen is as professional as they come.
Mike Breen is great. He's a Hall of Fame broadcaster, just went into the Hall of Fame. He can't make one mistake. Like, I know it was a big mistake, but he can't make a single mistake.
Hey, it's not. I'm not the standard there. I don't. You're not the standard.
No.
We make a ton of mistakes.
Yes.
Like, I'm not. Of course, I would say, ooh, that one just stings for the professional that Mike Breen is. Not our standard. His standard. It's not. He's better at that than we'll ever know. But at a giant moment, Mike Breen never gets it wrong. And I understand how it happened. There was a referee waving his arms just to say, hey, let's go back. Don't everyone just run off the court. We need to see if there are 0.7 seconds, 0.7 of a second left. As Kyrie, like the tensions in that game, first game of the playoffs feel good. There were some surprises. We'll talk about this with Amin Elhassan in a second. I guess Minnesota beating Memphis is a surprise. But the story of the basketball weekend was watching Trae Young really charming as a villain. Like charming. Just ends a season in Cleveland or taunts the Knicks last season.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a real...
Ended their season, yeah.
But this is a real villain now in the middle of it saying, kiss my ass, you're not going to disrespect me. If somebody over here says to Kyrie Irving, you suck, his response is going to be, suck my bleep, bleep. Right? Like right in your face. I'm not taking this anymore. As Mike Breen is talking about my vaccinated status, I'm shooting double middle fingers behind my head at the Celtics crowd. I'm doing, whether it's a jack off gesture or crybaby face or whatever it is that he was trying to do there. He was mocking. He's leaned into it full villain, full, oh, you're going full troll on this. You will fight this audience after stepping on their emblem and having Kevin Garnett of all people and Big Baby Davis say what a blasphemy it was to step on the sacred Celtic symbol.
The cartoon leprechaun. Yeah, you don't do that. I honestly had my biggest problem with Kyrie was that he refused to answer the questions from the media regarding the fans and how they reacted towards him. He's like, no, let's talk about basketball stuff. I'm like, you're the guy that made a sideshow out of it.
Of course.
You're the person that brought all that stuff on the court.
But he did talk about it with the media. He says, I'm not going to take that. You come at me and I'm going to come right back at you. And look, and in the middle of it.
No, but he wants to talk about basketball, Dan.
Yeah,
I think what Mike is saying is then play basketball all the time. Stop worrying about the fans.
Okay, look.
Let's have Kyrie speak on it himself. This was one of the quotes after initially pushing back on, I just want to talk basketball.
Where I'm from, I'm used to all these antics and people being close nearby. It's nothing new when I come into this building, what it's going to be like, but it's the same energy they have for me, and I'm going to have the same energy for them. And it's not every fan. I don't want to attack every fan, every Boston fan, but, when people start yelling and all this stuff, it's but so much you can take. And, we're the ones expected to be docile and be humble and take a humble approach. Nah, that's the playoffs. This is what it is. I know what to expect in here, and it's the same energy I'm giving back to them. What you guys saw and what you guys think is as entertainment, or the fans think is entertainment, all is fair in competition. So if somebody's going to call me out of my name, I'm going to look at them straight in the eye and see if they really about it. Most of the time, they're not.
Stugotz, I just want to watch the story arc on this, okay? Because it is one of the things that I think makes the Nets inevitably fascinating, even if Brooklyn doesn't love them, just to watch this disjointed mess of whatever it is has happened over the last 15 years to the sport arrive, with DeAndre Jordan there to build whatever that's going to be. And Kyrie's now saying, I wasn't loyal to Boston. You heard me say I was going back there, and I didn't. That's one of the reasons they're so mad, and they can kiss my black ass. And if they tell me, I suck, suck my bleep bleep. Okay, that's how we're going to do it. And I understand why he wants to concentrate on the basketball because goddamn, he's good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And the level of expertise in that fourth quarter with the tensions up there and him coming down and being like, yeah, you can stop me. And at the end, you know how you won? Yeah, you double teamed me and you made me get it to Durant. You double teamed me. I'm playing with you, Boston, double middle fingers. Okay, you want to play? You know how long I've been doing this? Duke, you know what? You know how I got here? I hit the big shot for LeBron, and I bailed. I hit the big shot for LeBron, biggest shot in history. Got fined $25,000 in Cleveland when I went back there, and you saw what he got fined for, right? Like I won you guys a mother bleeping championships, you ungrateful bleeps. You're still not happy. I got you a championship. He's saying I hit that shot, and then what birthed the LeBron, Durant, run the sport break apart? Durant chooses to run with Kyrie. Like it was. He chooses, and they say they're loyal to each other now as he's unvaccinated and James Harden can't handle it, and he gets out of there. What a fascinating story for them to lose at the end, because I bet Boston -4,
right.
And as I'm watching it, I lost all sight of what I was rooting for. That game dragged me. Like do you know how rare that is for me to care, not like to just be
where you don't care about the bet,
where I'm watching and I'm like, what do I want to happen here? Oh, I kind of want Kyrie to win this one. That surprised me.
Why though?
It snuck up on me that Kyrie's like, what do you mean why?
Why'd you want to see Kyrie win that? Because I look at Kyrie.
Because it was such a badass sports performance.
I know, but I look at him and I see this amazingly talented basketball player, but I also see a guy. That's what I want to see from Kyrie Irving every single night.
I know, but Stugotz,
no, he's capable of that kind of effort,
Stugotz,
Dan.
That's a hard standard.
No, but you said everyone does this thing. They can't play defense. They can't play defense. Then they show up in game 1 against the Celtics, and they play defense that is better than the defense they played during the regular season, and that's because Kyrie and KD are trying harder. I mean, it's clear. It's obvious to anyone who watched that game.
What was obvious to me is I'm watching the proud Celtic tradition. I'm watching it go up against the remnants, the embers of the empowerment machine, Stugotz. And at the top of that tension, the story arc, the drama of it, Kyrie in a sport that loves its storylines, as we love our soap operas, as he steps on the emblem, as he goes back and forth with the crowd in a way that most people, Stugotz, don't with Boston.
Right.
Like the racist stories of Boston and their Celtics teams are like, go read the stories about feces on Bill Russell's house and why he hates that city, and just some of the embedded racisms that athletes who have been allegedly loved by that town have had to endure in that town. And from there, that Celtics team on the back of Larry Bird, that's being celebrated on HBO right now by Adam McKay on Winning Time, as Larry Bird is portrayed in a way that's charming, because that passes for history now. And as Magic tells his own story on Apple, 4-part series, that's the story he wants you to know about. It's coming out soon. Magic story told by Magic. However it is that Magic wants to tell it. And he's got that power.
In the most positive ways.
And sure. But he's got that power. His commentary on the game yesterday was, what a game.
He's right.
Paid somebody for that tweet.
It was good commentary.
I'm not surprised that you're rooting for Kyrie. You've always liked people that are rebels and anti-establishment. So the fact that you're gravitating towards someone who you didn't agree with most of the season because of that moment, because he's doing that in front of Boston fans, I can see why you were appealed to it. The next evolution on this Kyrie story arc is probably getting COVID again, because COVID is sneaky back. Paul George missed the biggest game of the season because he has COVID. Bam Adebayo just got off of the health and safety protocols list. It's going to be a factor in the postseason. And I think the NBA went like the NFL model, which is if you don't got anything, don't get tested. But you have somebody that's famously unvaxxed, and this thing is starting to peak its ugly head again in the sports.
And it's a crazy story that Breen was talking about during the broadcast as Kyrie Irving, because I wanted to ask you guys about this, as we've been talking about Heat propaganda on local television when the Miami Heat fought and Jimmy Butler clashed with management and Spoelstra's had enough, and the Athletic says players speculate that this could all end maybe if the Heat don't win a championship.
Yeah.
But with that as your storyline, you're following me on this path, right? Because the Nets have become a team that's impossible not to watch what you're seeing and be like, oh shit, I've never seen. Oh, it's just going to be Durant and Kyrie against these 5'2" dudes, and Tatum's really good, and their defense is really good. But it's really going to be at the end, Kyrie's, you got to get the ball out of his hands so Durant has it.
You got to double Kyrie, and yeah, KD wasn't very good yesterday.
But at the end,
your option.
Durant got a bad shot. One of the things that I saw yesterday is you sit here and you advocate for Jason Tatum being Kevin Durant, okay?
He's pretty good.
I saw Jason Tatum block a Durant jumper, and I didn't think anyone knew how to do that.
Really good defender, Jason Tatum.
No, but I did not know that was a possible.
No, but people say that Durant can get that shot off against anybody, and he couldn't get it off against Jason Tatum. He was frustrated by it.
I thought maybe the ball slipped out of his hands. I thought there was
shocked.
no way.
Yes.
Jason Tatum is shorter than him. So someone who's shorter than him to just block a straight-up jump shot from Kevin Durant, I did not think that was possible.
And that's game one.
This might be the greatest first-round matchup ever. This is a throwback to Heat-Knicks because those two teams dislike each other already. And now the added element of Kyrie leaning into it.
Yeah.
Totally leaning into it in ways that we haven't really seen.
Right. This is innovation in some respects of going back at fan. Because you see the odd incident, but it seemed like Kyrie Irving tossed middle fingers 10 times yesterday.
No,
he is just so over the Boston thing.
But what I am telling you, though, is as we talk about whatever it is that America has birthed right now through the vaccine, through the vaccinated, through the political wars, as we get back to sports. Kyrie Irving was a freedom fighter for what? We didn't even know.
We didn't know. He kept changing it.
Okay, regardless, at the end of all that, what happened is even people who believed in science had to laugh at themselves with really, New York, the mandate is that Kyrie's going to sit there courtside and the rules for everyone else are different. He can't play in the game. That's ridiculous. Kyrie wins. He, at the end, I don't know what the cause was. I don't know what he sacrificed a lot of money to show the workers that they too did not have to get vaccinated.
He's Al Snow. Don't look into logic. This is a guy that made a big show out of being zen and saging an arena, and he acted like the biggest child there.
No, but Dan, he's right. He does not deserve our applause. He didn't win anything. He bailed on Kevin Durant and his entire team.
Okay, and through all of that and the fighting on race relations, as he's wondering whether they should even be playing at all in the bubble with what's going on in America. Whatever it is you think Kyrie Irving is fighting for, I want you to appreciate.
As he wasn't playing in the bubble, mind you. And his first question was about booze.
But I want you guys to appreciate that even the clown fighter has just leaned into Boston. Okay.
And he lost.
Okay, that's fine. And it's one game. And he said, okay, let's ratchet it up to here. Stugotz, you can do Andy lost.
Oh, no, Dan, it's great theater. I just don't love Kyrie.
No, but I'm not loving Kyrie here either, Stugotz. He's beating it out of me with what he's leaning into and the excellence that he's inviting that he go meet. Uncle Drew now wants to play with Boston.
He became a bigger star than Durant. He is the biggest star on his team. That is hard to do.
You think he gets fined for those middle fingers behind his head?
This is the part I want.
So why not just do it blatantly? Because it's not like you're gonna hide it. Why not just put him up in the air, Stone Cold Steve Austin style to the whole crowd, and then you stomp on the court right in the middle. You just boom, 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 then. Boom!
Yes.
What's up, everybody?
Yes.
Just one of these to everybody. Let me get it lower so the camera can see. One of these to everybody. Because you're going to get fined anyways, right? So just embrace it. Why do they do the pretend cough and say something insulting? Just do it. Do it, Kyrie. I dare you.
I wanted to ask you guys because
Inside a riot.
The telecast did not have it. The telecast, Stugotz, I never saw on ABC, on Disney. We never saw the middle fingers. We saw that was edited out. And so I'm asking you, was a version of the truth chosen there? Did they edit out for us that because Kyrie Irving, is it not more honest television instead of the crybaby face to have Kyrie Irving shooting middle fingers at Boston after returning to Boston, which has its history and is treating him like they want to own Kyrie Irving, and he's leaning into that.
Yeah, it's more honest television. The league probably doesn't want that because of its advertisers and partners. And Disney also has a certain set of standards for their broadcasts. They're not going to show that.
I'm sick of these broadcasters deciding what my tolerance level is for shenanigans. When there's protesters on the court, streakers, middle fingers, I want to see all of it. If it's happening at the arena or at the stadium, I should be able to see it on my TV.
You deserve to see it.
I deserve to see it. If someone's gluing themselves to the court,
An animal rights
I want to
activist
see it.
using glue. That was peak.
You're going to chain yourself to a hoop. You're not going to let me
Come
watch
on.
that?
But what's happening
ridiculous.
there?
How was
But
that glue made?
explain to me what's happening. I don't want my telecast scrubbed. Give me some.
It's censorship, Dan, really.
Give me some
And
honest.
why is this even offensive? It's a finger.
Right. It was archers that invented it.
Don't do that.
But it's not just a signal. We've determined what it means. Like it's like
Archers,
me
that would be like, look, I
saying
was using my middle finger.
me saying the word fuck
yeah, you
is
shoot them in the
offensive
What?
because we
Wait, that's way
decided
too
it's
far.
offensive.
That's way too far.
Distract him.
take this.
Jeff Fain.
Oh,
from the maker of penis?
that's not offensive. It's anatomically correct.
You ruined yourself. By,
Oh
by
my
being that
Jesus Christ!
You're buried in penis.
Yeah.
What?
So what happened last week? There was a pickoff move in the Nats game where someone got hit in the penis, and then there was another one. It was Goran Dragic. Goran Dragic in the play-in game where he grabbed someone's penis while defending, and I got it tweeted to me like 100 times.
Which do you think would have lasted with you longer? Just what you did, which was say penis, or like show your penis? Because I feel like saying penis is going to stick with you forever.
I feel like the other thing would also.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. I feel like we just kind of moved past it, right?
No, I don't think we would.
Well,
The showing of his
For
penis, Bill?
one, I would go into hiding.
only one way to find out.
I would go into
guess.
witness
Yeah.
protection.
show me your dick.
Billy, is that what you're
Whip
trying
it
to
out.
incite as a goal call? I would love that, Whittingham. If you can get off the ground, Whittingham, I want you to have these dual personalities, okay? Let's do this and let's get it out in the
We're
open.
going to ruin the poor kid's
Yes,
career.
okay.
I mean,
Juju,
We're
if
most
you-
of the way there.
Juju, if you put quote "show me your dick" dash Mike Ryan, I'm gonna be so pissed.
Amin Elhassan is going to join us because I do want to talk about some of the basketball stuff. Because as Stugotz says, here come the Timberwolves.
how long is that going to sit with Mike Breen? Like Whittingham, that moment, how long would that sit with you?
I'm still reeling from getting a foul call wrong in an Inter Miami game on Saturday night. I thought about it last night while I was lying in bed. I was like, man, he pointed for a foul there, but it was there. I'm still thinking about that, yeah. But also, that's a scene of chaos. And when a referee starts doing the wave kind of like, that's like you have to respond to refereeing signals. It's one of the difficult things about doing that job is like everyone's swarming the floor. It was kind of at the buzzer. There might have been a foul somewhere because there's a gazillion fouls in that game. So, yeah, I mean, it's understandable. You're following the signals of the referee.
He should do it with his middle fingers out. He should go like this. That'll get everyone's attention.
You are doing that gratuitously. I don't know
Thank
what
you.
it is that you're trying to achieve here. You're causing scandal at every
Desensitization,
turn
Dan.
with middle fingers that are deeply offensive to people and could not be shown to you by Disney. You're telling me a decision
Ridiculous.
was made in the truck somewhere to not show us middle fingers when that makes the story more interesting.
It is on network television, though.
Oh,
Like this
please.
this isn't just a game on ESPN or TNT. Like there are different rules that apply. Like there could be FCC violations if you show middle fingers without
yeah.
attempting
What?
to censor them.
TNT
It could be.
Really?
TNT and
Yes.
It's not
ESPN.
their fault.
The site of it is
No,
an
they can't.
FCC violation.
No,
a
it's
middle
true.
finger.
Guys,
There are standards
Yeah.
for broadcast networks.
Television has changed forever because we saw one nipple in 2004. Like broadcast television will never be the same.
Yeah, well, to be fair, the rules were in place before we saw the nipple.
Right.
Broadcast television, you have standards. Cable television, TNT. If TNT's halftime show was just to put on hardcore sex, there would be complaints, but there wouldn't actually be a sanction or fine.
But wait a minute. I've seen during what I mean, you guys have enjoyed what the NBA is doing with these telecasts bombarding you with Girls Gone Wild exposed after the championship on Saturday.
The witty noises are really throwing me.
They really are. They're ill-timed. They're poorly timed. We'll bring in Amin Elhassan, but I want people to understand there are dual personalities here, because Chris Whittingham very much wants to be the rebel renegade with a cause, like to die on Penis Mountain, where it's like, no, this is just anatomically correct, and if you guys can't handle it, it's because you're too repressed. And also, though,
until it comes time to showing his penis, then all of a sudden,
that's when he bails on the situation. But also, he very much wants to be the reporter on behalf of Meadowlark Media, showing up at these Chick-fil-A meetings, these community meetings, as a reporter reporting live on change, because we all understand that Chick-fil-A has to have a long line, and how have they mastered always having a long line that feeds people so quickly at their wondrous chicken factory?
You know they have breakfast?
They do, yeah.
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 Wait.
Billy.
You go there for something other than breakfast?
I just learned.
What?
Yeah. Well, the line's too long. I never go. I can't wait in that line.
Did you guys hear Publix has subs?
They're incredible.
Yes,
Some of them have chicken tenders in them.
It's one of the great local. Everybody will tell you that the Publix sub is a magical delight.
The best. You know, Chick-fil-A has soup now?
We've had soup. Tortilla soup, right?
Oh, it's so good.
I love a good tortilla soup.
It is.
We'll get
so
to Amin
good.
Elhassan in a minute.
I mean, we'll get there in a second. But Witty, are you going to become this?
Yes.
You have put yourself out there as wanting to report live from these city council meetings.
Just like once on Mystery Crate, I said if anyone wants to invite me to a wedding, I'll go because I love weddings. If you want me to be a part of your civic cause, I'll be behind it.
Except if you're Billy Corbin, apparently.
The people of
Depending
Oakland.
on what side of the political spectrum.
Exactly. If the people of Oakland Park want to get behind a cause of figuring out what's going on with their Chick-fil-A, I will join them at their city council meeting. I'll be happy to.
Thank you. I want to do this. And Billy, why are you making Billy? You just want to get Kmart.
The most boring thing ever.
Billy, you want to throw parties.
It's citizens of this great country participating in democracy.
It's crazy people yelling at old people.
In Oakland Park.
Involved citizens who care about their communities.
How many times do you think, by the way, one of these like crazed people goes and starts screaming at these old commissioners and like, you know what? I'm going to vote differently than the people who are bribing me. Allegedly.
Whittingham, I used to be a journalist. I was. The idea of willingly going to a city council meeting to hear these people yammer about whatever ordinances are when they're just going to get steamrolled by the chicken maker. The magic chicken man is going to come in and has bought 17 of the politicians, and you're going to get dragged.
I did it once.
You're going to be at a yammering of old people. I would not want to ever go there again, having been there many years ago.
What is the problem? You either want Chick-fil-A in your neighborhood or you don't, because they have mastered the drive-through line. They have. I understand that it could cause traffic, but they get through it very, very quickly. They're the best at it. The best ever. Number 2 is Christmas.
I mean,
enough of this.
I mean, give us the best parts of what you delighted in Nets and Celtics. I imagine there are any number of things that you want to talk about from the weekend that are interesting, but I just want to get your thoughts on the theater of Kyrie leaning into it.
I just want to take a moment to point out that that joke fed into Stugotz's headset was so loud I heard it, and I'm 3,000 miles away.
Which one? I didn't hear it.
Hit him with the laugh, man. That was a good one. The Nets-Celtics, what great theater, right? That's what we want out of a playoff matchup. We want that drama of, I don't know who's going to win this game. We want that drama of a hostile crowd and a superstar responding and raising his level of play to meet and surpass what that crowd is giving. We want that moment where we all thought Marcus Smart was going to take a terrible shot. And then somehow by divine intervention, and perhaps because for the first time all night, the Nets played too good a defense as they ran him off the three-point line. And then he saw a cutting Tayson Tatum. And I'm trying to figure out whether the Nets were switching everything or whether Kevin Durant just simply fell asleep. And I think he fell asleep as Jason Tatum cut and made that layup at the buzzer. What a great game.
Wait, are you saying if they play their normal defense that they play during the regular season, that Smart takes that shot, which is a better option for him?
I'm telling you that if they play the normal defense that they played yesterday,
I mean,
they weren't guarding
in the first half.
I mean, your take as our esteemed basketball insider from inside the machine front office representative, basketball royalty. Your take on everything we saw with Kyrie Irving leaning into Boston history and real villainy in game one. Your take was, what a game.
Oh, I mean, but it's like, I know people want to focus on Kyrie chattering with the crowd, but to me, that doesn't have as much power or lasting legacy as him doing it on the court. Like, I care little for fans and players interacting. I think it's dumb most of the time. I think fans are dumb. Just let them do their job. And I think players are dumb. Why are you paying attention to the drunk guy? But when you could say, oh, yeah, watch this, you MFer, and then do what Kyrie did in the second half of that game, that's magical. That's where you're like, yes, that's what I want to see. It's like, oh, these people want to talk. I'll give them something to talk about. And by the way, Kyrie Irving, Jaylen Brown, both of them did this while fasting during the day, right? There's no water breaks in there. There's no kind bars or power bars or anything like that. So for them to both play at an extremely high level while fasting, I just thought we watched a magical performance, and people are focusing on whether he gave double middle fingers behind his head or whatever.
Which ending did you find yourself rooting for? I mean, I don't know what your rooting interest was before the game, but I wonder if it was altered or swayed at all, because you can't help but respect when Kyrie Irving is. You can tell me all you want about, oh, it's just chatter and theater on the sides, but it means something when Kyrie Irving goes back to that place and leans into, you hated me and I left, and bleep off. Like, watch this. Watch what I do now with what I built after. Fuck off. My team, my time. I don't want to be around anymore, Boston. I told you I was going to be here, and then I changed my mind, and now you're hurt, and now I go back there, and I stepped on the emblem, and Big Baby Davis got hurt, and Kevin Garnett got hurt. You don't have to buy into the theater of that, but him leaning into that, and then the double teams, and then at the end of the game, the Celtics, a great defense, saying, get the ball out of his hands. We prefer Durant with it. Like, that's team takeover stuff. I mean, like, that's
I mean, I guess my thing is, without the basketball part, if he had just gone out there and scored 22 points, it's not fun. It's not. I mean, it's like, okay, all right. So he wasn't completely out of sorts in terms of like, oh, he was 3 of 300 and he only scored 6 points. Oh, the crowd got in his head. That's one outcome I guess we can enjoy as an audience. The other is what we saw yesterday. The in-between is where it's like, okay, so it doesn't look like it made a difference either way. And that's what I don't think would have been fun. What made it fun wasn't just that he was interacting. It was that he played at such an incredibly high level, Dan. And, from the standpoint of, where the Celtics defense took him, it's funny, that last play where he did give it up to Durant, he was open for a second. Like, he had a stutter step, and he had an ability to pull up, and for some reason he took one extra dribble, and he realized it immediately. Damn, I just took one extra dribble. And rather than dribbling his way out of that, he gave it to Durant, which I thought, given what the shot clock was at, that was the most prudent play. I love it. I mean, I think that's fun, and I think, again, yes, the crowd being interactive in that way raises it, but it's just like, it's like steak sauce. Dan, the steak is his performance. With the fans and all that interaction, that's just extra stuff that you put on top. If the steak were not there, it wouldn't be much of a meal.
I mean, Kevin Durant, 9 of 24. Is that Tatum's D, or is that just a bad night?
No, that was the Celtics defense, and I think a lot of people pointed out the refs were kind of weird with that one, as they allowed Kevin Durant to get kind of beat up around there. He's got to get pushed around, and the Celtics were incredibly physical. That's why I give them credit as a team defensively, but also, a lot of those are fouls. And knowing Kevin Durant, he's going to watch the film, and he's going to come back next game and be incredible, because it's Kevin Durant, as he likes to say. By the way, one last thing on Kyrie. The person who said it best yesterday was Bo. You see the tweet by him? He said, that weirdo is so damn good. That's Kyrie in a nutshell. Look, you can think he's weird. You can think he's a moron. You can think he's a fraud. You can think all these things. What you can't say is he can't play basketball.
But one of the reason I like the theater of it, I mean, and you can say, never mind about the sauce, but you tossed in, and also he's fasting. And also here's the top of athletic performance, right? Boston's as good as it gets the last 2 months of the season, and the Nets are a broken team of hodgepodge parts that Kyrie, is out there when he can be out there. And that's what goes for the top of the conference now. And that team that represents the Matt Sullivan book of, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are really going to run this team. That Kevin Durant is going to yell at James Johnson, hey, shut the bleep up and play basketball. And that night, James Johnson is waived. A veteran is waived because Durant and Kyrie run what AAU basketball has spawned, and Kyrie Irving and Durant are going at it together. But it was Durant who got his shot blocked by Tatum. I know it's one shot, one game. Does any of that stuff matter? But we were talking about, I didn't know it was possible to block the Durant jump shot. And Stugotz is out here saying, no, this is Tatum's time now. It's Tatum's time to take over the league, the conference from Kevin Durant. And he blocked his shot. You tell me. Kyrie Irving welcomed all of that yesterday. Durant receded. I know it's only one game. I know how great Durant is. But Kyrie leaned into it yesterday.
So a couple of things. Number one, I've heard you guys talk about this. I haven't been on. James Johnson did not get cut because Kevin Durant cussed at him. James Johnson got cut because they had Kessler Edwards on a two-way deal. They wanted him to be fully converted into a full NBA contract. And so you got to cut somebody. And so James Johnson was a cut. It's not like he was playing that great anyway. And by the way, even if the case where like Durant got him cut because he cussed him out right there, that wouldn't have been like the first time. It probably had been something that had been happening for weeks, if not months. So, but I don't know about that. But
the story's better our way. I mean,
I prefer, but thank you for taking all the theater out of it and the drama. Fair enough. What you're saying
extra.
What you're saying is fair enough. I am throwing some extra on something that doesn't need any extra. You're saying people who respect basketball respect what Kyrie Irving did yesterday because he leaned into it and he lost, and it's game one, and it's one of the reasons that'll be a lot more interesting than all the other series.
Yeah, well, I mean, the reason why it's more interesting is because we know the Nets aren't a 7 seed. I know they're the 7 seed, but they're not a 7 seed. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving healthy together are not a 7 seed. That's a team that's probably a top 3 seed. So what we're getting in essence is a second round or maybe even a conference finals matchup in the first round. That's what makes it so exciting, intriguing. And that's why that was the marquee game yesterday. And even though someone told me yesterday that the rest of the schedule, the Nets and the Celtics are not being placed on the networks in the right way. Like next weekend, it's not even on ABC during the week. It's the TNT B team that's calling it, or it's Stan Van Gundy and Brian Anderson. And I was kind of shocked at that. Like, why wouldn't every network be like, no, this game I want it. I want it prime time. I want to get my number one crew on that.
It's too dirty. It's got middle fingers in it. It's too ribald for network television.
Ribald. Wow, that's an Ethan Strauss word. Let me write that one
Maybe
down.
they can show the middle fingers on TNT though. Yeah. That's probably why, Dan.
Well, I heard you guys talk about that. Yes, you absolutely cannot show middle fingers on network television, ABC, NBC, CBS, or Fox. You can show it on cable, but ESPN, as we know, owned by Disney, is very averse to it unless it's Pablo Torre giving a middle finger to Mike Ryan, which he did on ESPN.
Has it not happened multiple times? Do we not have it happen multiple times?
Didn't
middle
Mina
fingers?
do it once too?
I think it was double middle fingers. Yes, that's what made us the most scandalous thing at Disney.
Unedited, and no apologies. I once got in a Twitter tat with wrestling, and I had to write an apology, and I was off Twitter for 2 weeks. And meanwhile, the golden boy, Pablo Torre, can give double middle fingers. Anyone with the TV on mute, 4-year-olds watching, just giving double middle fingers, throwing the bird to Mike Ryan. And what happens to Pablo? He gets his own podcast. I see how it is.
It was like news or something.
Right. Plus, it was Mina's podcast. Yeah. He took it over. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that's,
I mean, look,
that's real privilege what you're talking about there, and it's fair. I think it's a fair
Filipino
accusation
privilege.
For you to lob.
we don't talk enough about Filipino privilege. I've had it. I've had it with Pablo Torre. I've had it with Bruno Mars. I've had it with Cassidy Hubbard. All of you. You know what? I'm taking a stand right now. Say no to Filipino privilege.
That's a stupid stand.
Nobody. Who's joining me? Nobody? Nobody's with me?
Is this just you to have us ask you what your story with Bruno Mars is? Because you kind of just threw that in there.
No, because he's Filipino.
So was Tim Tebow.
So really?
No, he was born
Goes
on like a base there or something, right?
So he's Filipino.
But if it's
So
American, no, if you're on a base, you're
No.
American.
Yeah.
Regardless,
Still run for
privilege.
president.
I like the idea of that.
Andre
Bertha.
I think
Andre
so.
Blatch.
Yeah.
Bertha over
Andre Blatch, Filipino.
Wasn't there a president recently or a candidate recently who ran for president that was born on an Air Force base
Yeah.
somewhere abroad?
Yeah.
Like
John
John
McCain,
McCain.
yeah.
Was it John McCain?
Manny Pacquiao.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, no one's going to take your side on this stand.
You fly alone there, my friend. But you are right that Pablo Torre did. Not enough is made in the Disney annals of the day that Pablo Torre breached all their laws and somehow
The Disney
still.
what?
Not to be confused with their annals.
Yep.
Well,
Fine.
Well, those were jokes I was hoping to make more subtly, given what's happening around Disney at the moment. But thank you both for being not subtle in that situation.
Lou Diamond Phillips. Filipino.
Right.
Thank you, Stugotz.
You got it.
Had me convinced in La Bamba.
Richie.
Ethnically ambiguous.
I don't know what Lou Diamond Phillips is. I'm
He
learning.
just told you.
No, but I did not
You don't
know.
trust me?
What I'm
I
saying
mean-
is that before that moment, no, I don't trust you. Just generally speaking, the answer to that question is no. Always, I don't trust you.
Well, thank you.
So just because you read it on the internet, I did not know that it was so. I had to confirm it.
Well, hold on. He was born on a naval base also. So now is that question again.
Well, Billy, I'm glad that you asked because I wanted to bring you in on Amin. We were talking before you got here, Amin, of a great scandal in Miami of great import involving Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald, longtime reporter. Billy, you want to set the table for Amin Elhassan on who's right, who's wrong, so he can be arbiter here on the scandal right now that we have growing locally.
Amin, are you familiar with Barry Jackson?
I am. That's my guy, man.
Well, which one?
Exactly.
Uh-oh.
Barry Jackson, the guy that writes for the Miami Herald.
Well,
the sports columnist.
Okay, so we have a lot of catching up to do with you. So here's the deal. He freaked out because on, I believe it was opening day, he went to cover the Marlins game, or so we thought, and he was charged in the press box $3 for a Pepsi, and it had previously been free, so he was very upset about this. He was trying to, cause this whole kerfluffle and get this person fired and imprisoned for charging him $3 for a Pepsi. We later found out that it may or may not have been a mistake, but I was told that when he went to, someone went to talk to him to see what happened to try to get to the bottom of this, he was already gone and he was off to his next assignment. And then we started thinking, you know what? This might be a Jackson 5 situation where there's 3 to 5 Barry Jacksons that go around and cover all of the sports around Miami because he's always at everything, covering everything. So we thought like good magicians, like, like in the Prestige, that there maybe are into the Carbonaro effect, that there may be twins, triplets, or even 5 Barry Jacksons going around doing the job of one person under the name Barry Jackson.
And Harry Jackson and Larry Jackson.
Barry,
and
Harry,
Gary
Larry,
Jackson.
Gary, Gary,
an assortment of
The
Jacksons.
Jackson 5, yeah.
And regardless, the point is Barry Jackson's a very thorough reporter. He seems to be everywhere. And he was complaining that for his troubles, the Marlins had charged him $3 for a drink that he thought should have been free. That would have been $45 for fans. And Whittingham has a shocking take here. Whittingham is willing to get out here in a way that I thought was a bit cruel, but he's brave and he fights the fights worth fighting, whether they're at Chick-fil-A or here.
Yeah, so Barry Jackson said that there was a rogue employee who was taking money from him, the $3, and Barry Jackson said that there should be consequences, and frankly, I agree with him. It's stealing money. If the Marlins are not charging money for their food and a rogue employee is taking money, that person is stealing.
Person's smart.
It is shocking. It's a shocking take from you that you're willing to get out here controversially. But I mean, go ahead and give us your general thoughts about Barry Jackson complaining about a $3 soda as Luther Campbell scolded him, saying, "Oh, come on, Barry, you're better than that. You need to stop that."
Absolutely not. So first of all, my first question was it Stugotz? That was my first question. If it's a rogue individual charging people $3 for something that's already free. So it reminded me of the general in Don't Look Up. You guys remember that, where he walks in and he says, "You guys want some snacks?" and he charges them $10. Yeah, well, I'm with Barry Jackson, man. Like, hold on for a second. I've been to media rooms all over this country, all types of arenas, both college and pro. They might charge you for the food. Some do, some don't. Shout out to the ones that don't, because the ones that do, stop penny pinching. It's just a little bit of catering. That's all. And by the way, half of that is overflow from what they fed the team anyway. So let's not pretend like you made this specifically for us, right? But no one ever charges for drinks. If anything, they just run out, which happened last night at the Suns game I went to, and there was no water. You know, I'm fasting and I'm trying to break my fast. And
I knew he was there. I knew he was there.
He's always right there.
I thought he was creeping into I thought he was creeping in. And thank you for bringing him here. I appreciate speaking to him now. It's good seeing you.
Dangerously low levels, Dan Le Batard, of hydration in my body. I could have passed out if it weren't for the kind words of encouragement from Michelle, Sasha, and Malia. I too could have been a casualty. But shame on whatever employee tried to charge the great Barry Jackson. Well, he's one of my favorites. $3. I mean, it's ridiculous. Now, Mitch McConnell, he's all right with that. He wants you to charge $7. He says, if you want to be dehydrated, you better have money. But America is not a country of haves and have-nots. Yeah, it's a country of equality, freedom. So free Barry Jackson.
I mean, I wanted to talk to you. I really did have a fashion question, because I don't even know when it started. When NBA guys coming to the arena, that the attire, I don't know if this goes back to like Clyde Frazier having like goldfish in his shoes or what, but the guys arriving at the arena, and James Harden came in with a jacket the other day that appeared to have like 1 or 2 stuffed animals on one of the lapels of the jacket, and it wasn't even original. Trent Williams, somebody with more swag than anybody you'll ever see, 330 pounds or heavier. Trent Williams had already worn that same thing. So explain to me what I'm missing on James Harden fashion icon and what's he going for, because I think he tries to tell us more with his clothes than he does with anything else he says.
Dan, I've learned a long time ago that stuff, that walk in wearing that get up, is not for us. Sports show, sports people, normal. It is a signal. It's like a secret society of fashionista weirdos that is signaling to it. Oh, this is actually an Emilio Pucci, and it's $7 billion. That's what it is. It's like, oh, they pretend it's like, oh, you don't know anything about this. I remember 5 years ago at Summer League, when I first started seeing those Balenciaga god awful kind of sock shoe that has no laces or anything. And I'm just like, by the way, Juju, relax. Juju's in the chat. I didn't even see the rest of the
rest. He's right,
of
though. I mean, we're asking you about fashion. I mean, it's like asking Stan Van Gundy about fashion.
It's like asking you about fashion, Stugotz.
Exactly.
Well, Juju, have at it. Don't come out of the chat and come out of the shadows. And fine, we should not be talking to Amin about fashion. Why is it that you're burying him in the chat, Juju?
Sorry, Dano, I had to unmute myself. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That jacket cost $7,000, and he looked like a $7,000 idiot. I don't care how much the jacket costs. Don't wear that goofy stuff no more. You're embarrassing all of us, James. Keep doing your thing. Salute to you.
But don't do that.
Okay, but
Right.
don't do that thing.
Right.
That is not. But why are you killing Amin in the chat, saying he has fashion?
And then making the same point. Making the same point I was making.
Yes, but Amin is not fresh at all. I've never seen Amin fresh. I've seen Amin over 20 times. Not fresh ones. Salute to Amin.
Okay.
Keep doing what you do.
Not fresh. You have no style. I mean, you're okay. He is unimpressed by you.
That's going to be the Juju tweet, by the way. It's going to be a picture of Juju that says, Amin is not fresh at all. And that's the quote.
No, Juju, you have to do this to yourself now. You have to post James Harden looked like a $7,000 idiot, Juju Gotti.
Yep.
And post your own photo.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I'm on it. Say less. I got you.
All right. Thank you, Juju, for all your contributions. I mean, what are the Clippers now? So that season ended quietly after
they're home.
Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, and that was going to be the team of the future. And what like it's over? Like, what is all that?
Well, I mean, I think they're optimistic about what their future looks like. They realize that they had a tough season where Kawhi missed every game and Paul George missed a lot of them, and they were still a 500 team, and Ty Lue's looking like one of the best coaches in the league. And so I think from that standpoint, they're looking at it like, okay, next year, Kawhi will have had a full year off to recover from a partial ACL tear. And Paul George will be obviously 100%. He played pretty well here towards the end of the season when he did come back. I think they're looking at it like, we're fine. Now, I think they've got to do better with their supporting cast. Reggie Jackson and Marcus Morris and those guys aren't going to cut it. But I think they feel very optimistic. I believe this is going to be the last year they're playing at Crypto.com Arena. So they're 1 year away from having their own building and making a shit ton more money. I don't think the Clippers are in any sort of crisis mode. Quite the opposite. I think they're encouraged.
I mean, Anthony Edwards, for me, that was the big story of the weekend. We could talk about the Nets game and the Celtics game. It was a great game, tons of theater, but and I feel bad for the Saturday games because on Monday we forget about the Saturday games, but that was the big upset, the T-Wolves over the Grizzlies. Anthony Edwards, I love his quotes after the game where he says, I love my shots. My coach doesn't always love my shots, but I love my shots. He is a fantastic player, and to do that in your first ever playoff game, I'm not certain Karl Anthony Towns is the best player on that team, Amin. Am I wrong?
I think it's one of those things we all saw something over the last week because you can include the playing game in that where there's been a changing of the guard, at least in the mind of public opinion. It's like, wait a second. We keep talking about that guy. I think that guy might be the guy. And I think the reason why, and we're not trying to play small sample size here, but Karl Anthony Towns in high leverage moments, whether he plays well or not, seems to be incredibly agitated, frustrated, and reactive at all times. And Anthony Edwards just looks like, all right, just give me the ball. He's so calm and poised out there that there's something, when you see it, you know, okay, that's it. That's the it factor that people talk about. Anthony Edwards had that on full display this weekend. And, I can imagine a world where Karl Anthony Towns still leads that team in scoring and is the guy on the posters and in the tickets, the season tickets and stuff. But when it comes to nut cutting time, it's Anthony Edwards time.
One game.
So good. Dan.
One game.
Well,
You're giving the team over to him.
I wouldn't say it's one game. I would say, first of all, he's played great all year long. Second of all, it's a continued observation.
Jessica wants to know what nut cutting time is. What is nut cutting time? What does that mean?
Nut cutting time is
like a chestnut?
a famous term.
It's crunch time.
Well, what does that mean?
What do you think crunch time is about? It means
Cutting
your nuts
nuts
are about to get crunched.
Mhm.
There you go.
Yep.
So it's a double entendre.
Nut cutting or crunch time?
Well, both of them, I guess, now
Both
that I
of
think
them,
about
yeah.
it.
If you say so.
Wow.
It is. The idea is that, like, if your balls are in a vice, Jessica, and I know just
All right, I'm going to
project
picture
for a
my
second,
balls in a vice for a second. Yeah.
right? And as the vice is tightening, are you going to get flustered? It's like, oh my God, ref, why did you call that? Or are you going to look that ref in the eye and say, all right, I'll get that next one.
Come on.
So if my balls are getting crushed in a vice, I would probably get flustered. Yeah.
Come on. All of us would.
But Edwards doesn't. That's the point.
I think we all would, but not Edwards.
No.
Not Edwards.
Not Edwards.
I feel like if any of us were in a nut cutting device, that all of us would be a great deal flustered, but not Edwards, is what you're telling me.
Exactly. And Jordan. Yep.
And Jordan. Those are the two. Okay.
And Kobe, probably.
Well, Edwards makes eye contact and holds eye contact. Jordan actually slaps your hand away from the tightening device and tightens it himself. Like, here. Oh, you're trying to do this to me?
Tighter, please.
All right. We'll come back with Amin Elhassan after this. Mike Ryan, your Heat homerism after one playoff game has lured out Celtics homer Mike Schur, Ken Tremendous, after you have said that the Miami Heat are one of the most disrespected teams in the sport. He said, as a back and forth, because he doesn't think your Heat are an impressive story. The 7 seed has 2 of the greatest offensive weapons ever to play the game, so it was a good victory. Congrats on beating the Hawks without Capella. That's got to feel good. The Hawks without Capella is being held against you by this bozo.
Well, maybe if he wanted to face the Hawks versus Clint Capella, his team would have beat the Miami Heat when they were playing for the 1 seed a couple of weeks ago. But they finished 2 games worse than the Miami Heat in the standings, and thus drew a more difficult opponent. He should know how the NBA works.
With Robert Williams hurt, though.
Celtics fans bother me. A lot of fans bother me. But they think that they're this great, illustrious franchise because they won like 15 titles when everybody had belts around their socks. That team has 1 championship in my lifetime, pretty much, that I can remember. What? Yeah.
But they are a storied franchise.
I've been told by them. Most of the fans that are active on social media have been alive for one of those historic
Amin
championships.
Elhassan right now is furious. You are blaspheming against basketball and Red Auerbach.
They have as many championships in my life as the Dallas Mavericks.
Dan,
on Cinephobe, the podcast where Zach Harper and I watch movies that are poorly rated on Rotten Tomatoes and try to ascertain whether they are accurately poorly rated or maybe they didn't get a fair shake. That's a Cinephobe. It's produced by Anthony Mays, and it comes out Wednesdays on the LeBatard and Friends
It's
Network.
an excellent podcast, and it is very funny, and it is 2 hours of, it's great, and you should listen to it if you have not heard it. So continue, please.
So on the podcast, we have this term called film noir. And that happens when there's a huge twist in the plot that no one saw coming. And so Dan introduced me, said, Amin is furious right now. And I am furious, but I am furiously taking Mike Ryan's side on this. Boston as a franchise is fraudulent, right? Like, think about this. This is the theory, not theory. This is the philosophy I've carried for years now on NBA radio. The concept that we are going to count championships pre-NBA ABA merger as if they're the same as post-merger. Look, all the best players are in the ABA. Julius Irving was in the ABA. Rick Barry was in the ABA. Moses Malone was in the ABA. Meanwhile, in the NBA, they were playing underhand kind of passes and they had belts, as Mike said. Get out of here. As far as I'm concerned, the Boston Celtics have 4 championships. They got the 3 with Larry Bird, and they got the 1 in 2008, and that's it. Placing them as a successful franchise overall, but not quite in the same air as the Bulls, as the Heat, or not the Heat, as the Spurs, as the Lakers, the greatest franchise in NBA history. Get out of here. No one wants to know about the time Bill Russell dominated the league with 8 teams. That's just irrelevant right now.
This is where the NFL got things right because no one really honors what happened before the merger. It would be Browns fans being able to talk shit on Twitter if we just acknowledged everything that happened pre-merger. That's what the Celtics fans are doing, lacking in self-awareness. Loser franchise. And ultimately,
franchise.
No, it's a loser franchise.
Come on, Mike.
And ultimately,
4 titles since
the
80,
acquisition
Mike.
of Kevin Durant was a big old dud.
It can't be loser franchise, Mike, on the Boston Celtics. It can be.
In Mike's defense, though, it's not as great as everyone says that
wait a
it
minute.
is.
Overrated is a different conversation than
literally
loser franchise.
Overrated franchise.
We
I
have
like that.
grandfathered them into the elite. When I look around, I'm like, what gives you more clout over me? It doesn't make any sense. If we're doing the banter thing, Heat fans have the banter advantage all day on the Celtics.
They rivaled Kobe during a time and a place. Like, that's what it was. It wasn't just
They should have won more with that team,
but it's
to be
not
honest,
just they won 1 championship and it was hard to win it. They took them a ton of games. They played a bunch of game 7s and it felt like 2 seasons in one. And Pierce and Garnett and at the start of all this nonsense, before LeBron decided he couldn't beat that, LeBron decided, I'm going to keep losing to that. I have to build something else. They won one championship, but they were the rival to Kobe Bryant, and those stories matter.
It's the worst era of NBA basketball. Those championships barely count.
This is outrageous.
Attaboy.
This is you need to say this to Bob Ryan's face.
Oh, he'll die on the air.
I think we've done this before, actually. I think we've done this entire bit before. We called Bob Ryan, and Bob Ryan called me QAnon, if I recall correctly.
Bob Ryan right now doesn't like the portrayal of Winning Time by Adam McKay.
He's also having dinner right now.
You guys want to call him up? You guys want to have this conversation?
Dinner time.
You don't want to interrupt his dinner, man.
Let's go ahead and call. Let's
It's
interrupt.
By the way, Bob Ryan calls it supper. Yeah, he calls it supper.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Oh man, one of the most heartbreaking. I don't think I've told you guys this story. You'll appreciate this. I mean, I don't know if you know this story. God. Oh man, it was Dan Patrick Sports Center, and I was just making the argument that as Steve Nash won an MVP, that Shaquille O'Neal was, probably the most valuable player, but that Steve Nash won it for a number of different reasons, being a novelty, being an underdog, being making a team great, and how much did his whiteness play into him being that novelty. And after I made the discussion on SportsCenter with Dan Patrick, Bob Ryan called me and was very angry with me for suggesting for even a moment that race would have anything to do with the idea that Shaquille O'Neal would be expected to win MVPs and Steve Nash would be a surprise because he wouldn't look like one.
I don't get your point, to be honest with you.
Here's a
You
point.
sound like Oscar Robertson when he was like, yeah, Steph Curry, he's an okay shooter. I played with a great shooter, Bucky Buckerson or whatever the guy's name, Adrian Smith, some shit like that. Because they don't fit
Bucky Buckerson.
Yeah, it's like some name like that. It's like one of them 1940s type names that don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Steve Nash was most valuable player. You know why? Because he was the most valuable. Because you added him to a team that won 30 games the year before, added him and Quentin Richardson, and they ended up leading the league in wins. That's why he was MVP. And you know what he did the next year? He didn't come back fat and out of shape. He did it again with an even worse supporting cast because Amari Stoudemire was hurt. But no, let's sit around and say because he was white. Get out of here. Ridiculous, Dan Le Batard. Shame on you. Shame on you, Dan Le Batard. Shame on you and shame on Oscar Robertson.
There you go.
Here's a take. In my lifetime, the Toronto Raptors are a more storied franchise than the Boston Celtics.
Oh, come on, Mike. Mike, come on.
They have meant
Mike.
more to modern NBA
Mike,
history
you're unreasonable
than the Boston
today.
overrated Celtics.
You're unreasonable today, and you now want...
I have witnessed as many championships in my lifetime.
What's happened is you're a snoot because when you've grown to love basketball over the last 15 years, the Miami Heat are always in this conversation, and you don't think the Celtics belong in it. And you
They don't have a seat at my table, Dan. The
This is what's
Raptors do.
happening with you.
This is your lifetime table, just so we're clear,
who else?
right?
Yeah,
It's his lifetime table, Dan.
Who
It's
has a
different.
seat
Well,
at
the
your
Bulls
table?
head of the
His
table.
lifetime table.
Bulls head of the table,
Yeah.
right next to them, right hand. Probably the Spurs and Lakers right there. The Houston
Really?
Rockets are a much greater NBA franchise than the Boston Celtics in my lifetime, but they're not as far down they're further down the table than the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat are right there with the Lakers, with the Spurs, all looking up.
You
at
want to
MJ.
be considered royalty. We
are NBA royalty.
No, but this is
if you extrapolate our success from the birth of this franchise that is younger than 35 years old, right? If you extrapolate that dating back to the time where Bucky Buckerson was playing, the Miami Heat would basically be the Celtics.
Bucky Buckets.
The Bulls get to be in your
Yes.
in your
of
room?
Yeah, no, I said head of the table.
Said head of the
Head
table.
of the table.
Head of the
Yeah.
Picking up
table.
the tab.
This is his lifetime table,
Yeah,
okay?
you know, the
Yeah.
Pistons probably too, because in my lifetime they won a title technically, though I only remember one. Pistons further down the table.
76ers can't be at the table, right?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No,
I
76ers, they can't even get in the room.
Pistons at the kiddie table?
I'm not even sending you the invite graphic that I made for this party.
Wow.
Sixers, get out of here.
Mm.
Hear
The
me out on
greatest
this one.
achievement I've seen the 76ers accomplish in my lifetime was they won game one on the road And like it made Allen Iverson's legacy.
Against the Lakers?
An inefficient Allen Iverson, might I add.
He
Very inefficient ball player.
He stepped over Ty Lue, who LeBron, during that Clippers game we were just talking about, said, Ty Lue, greatest coach in the world. What happened there? I mean, like what LeBron tweeted during the game as if 20-point leads matter anymore in that sport.
Too little, too late. That's what happened right there as far as LeBron trying to get Ty Lue to be his head coach again. That should have happened 2-3 years ago, whenever that was. But I want to go back to this. The Bulls have the head of the should it be Michael Jordan gets the head of the table? I don't think the Bulls get to be at the head of the table.
Yeah.
Because outside of Michael Jordan's time, they've been, for the most part, very poorly run organization. Whereas the Lakers, the Spurs, the Pistons, the Heat, they've had kind of like sustained excellence even when they're not winning titles.
No, but that's the Jordan pull, though. That's why he gets to be the head of the table, just because it's Jordan.
But Jordan, not the Bulls, is what I'm saying.
Okay, a very important correction.
Just Jordan. No Pippen?
Let's do funniest thing. No, just Jordan. Pippen's not allowed in the room either. He's outside. Mike's going to come damn close to putting Indiana somewhere in this room in a place that offends somebody.
Don't get carried away. I mean, stop.
ABA titles, they count too.
Yeah, if we're honoring just the NBA titles pre-merger, then the Pacers are one of the storied franchises, as storied as the Boston Celtics. In fact, I remember Larry Bird as a Pacers legend.
That's right.
Pick from French League.
Yeah. My vivid memories of Larry Bird. I was old enough. I remember his jersey retirement ceremony in which people told me how great of a basketball player he was, and him being a hell of a coach for the Indiana Pacers. The hick from French Lick.
Hey, Dan, do you think if Larry Bird were black, he'd just be another player?
Isn't that what Isaiah Thomas and Dennis Rodman got in trouble for? I wasn't saying Steve Nash was just another player, but go look at the numbers, the statistical differences between Steve Nash and Shaquille O'Neal those couple of years that we're talking about, where Steve Nash was getting voter credit on seasons that Shaquille was having that were like the one that Jokic is having, where Jokic is, you're looking at numbers and you're like, this is so distorted. And yes, Steve Nash won a bunch more, but it was like giving it to Chris Paul now because the Suns won a bunch more. Like everyone knew Shaq was the most valuable player in the league back then.
Distorted, it's distorted your concept of what great is in basketball. Like, points, give me points. Oh, he had a lot of points. He must be the best player, as opposed to the guy who, using more sophisticated means to evaluate the game, know that he is impacting wins and losses more because he's impacting the plus minus. Because when Steve Nash steps on the floor, yes, he doesn't average 30 points a game. But you know what happens? Everybody else has a career year. Everybody else on the floor playing with Steve Nash has a career year. That's why he was MVP. He made everybody play the best basketball they've ever played in their life, and that team won a shit ton of games as a result.
Milwaukee Bucks, greater franchise than the Celtics.
In your lifetime?
Yeah. Number 2 is Christmas.
Let's do funniest thing from the sports weekend.
Hey, people. Tell us what in the sport made you laugh hardest this weekend. It is a segment we call What Made You Laugh This Weekend. Ha ha ha!
Funniest thing from the sports weekend is presented by our friends at CBD MD.
Is Tony participating today in funniest thing from the sports
What kind
weekend?
of question is that?
Well, I didn't know. I just wasn't sure. I didn't talk to you. I'm
battling
sorry.
sinusitis right now. A bit of a flu game, yeah. What do you mean it's not true?
He sounds terrible again. He still sounds like shit.
Yeah. It's sinusitis, sinusitis for those.
It might be COVID.
It's definitely not COVID.
This is the remnants of COVID.
It was 2 weeks ago, and I tested negative 1,000 times. Not the point. The point is,
I don't think you did 1,000 times.
Prove it.
Yeah.
All 1,000.
Yeah. Stu, you were there.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Do you have it too?
No, I somehow I didn't get it.
Moderna.
I mean, I have every reason to have it,
Right.
based on the amount of time I spend with Tony in the nude. And I didn't get it.
I mean,
Colin Cowherd's going to be mad.
The herd.
in the nude. All right, go ahead, Tony.
Colin Cowherd's going to be mad. Jeff Fisher was back, USFL over the weekend. Saved all of us with football, which was amazing. He was wearing a backwards hat. The haters were in shambles.
All right, just a terrible take by you, Tony. And
No,
go ahead.
it's not.
No,
What
it
is that
is.
supposed to mean?
Witty, you tell them the truth here.
Saved all of us.
Yeah.
Yes, it was great.
No.
What is the point of
No.
this USFL?
Football.
Who is this
Football
for?
in the
How many-
spring. What are we
How many
doing?
spring football leagues do we need to see for we realize it's anonymous laundry? And it's even more laundry
this
now
guy.
because apparently these teams represent cities, but all the games are in Birmingham. Why does this exist?
Gambling.
Who is this for?
Thank you, Stu.
But gambling, you don't know anything about the teams.
Who cares?
You
this guy
guys
doing?
bet on Korean baseball, Witty. What are you talking
You know how many
about?
games I bet on where I know nothing about the sport, let alone the teams?
A functional spring football league would be great for the NFL and for college
We're
football.
going to have two of them. We're going to have the XFL and the USFL. The Rock's bringing it back, baby.
We just need one with a viable business plan that can sustain fan growth
Yep.
and
No, you
expand.
don't.
Yep.
No, you don't.
And a lot
You-
of burnable cash.
You don't actually need one that works because you'll just get another one that doesn't work the next year.
Fair enough. But it would be better if it worked, and then you could get used to who the
It would be
players
cooler,
and the teams
yeah.
are and stuff, and
Yep.
seeing Jeff Fisher, which was awesome.
With a backwards
like you
hat.
said. He looked great.
Here's
Yeah.
a take. Americans. There are other sports.
Oh, give me a break.
We don't need to watch football all the
Give me
time.
a break.
We, like, college football, NFL, it's there from September to February. For the
We
other
need
months,
more. What
watch
do you
other
mean?
things.
We need more.
Watch
Be
other
quiet.
things.
No.
There's basketball on this
mic off.
weekend. Watch some other sports.
Watch both.
It's too easy. Witty, I appreciate you being a noble warrior on behalf of the purity of sport as Stugotz just takes the easy stance and rushes with the mob to crucify you. I appreciate your gumption.
Crucify him! Crucify him! Sorry, Stations of the Cross
What?
from Friday. Still.
Makes you tremble.
What is the funniest thing from the sports weekend, Witty?
Stan Van Gundy tweeting, "Is there a religion that teaches that women are equal to men, that does not teach or encourage women to be subservient, that gives women equal roles in the governance of its congregations?" And the Church of Satan replied, "Yes."
We're all upset. We all wanted that one, but you read it the best, no doubt.
They have a point.
Billy, what was the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
What are you thinking there's other sports besides football to watch? I mean, get out of here.
Jessica, what was the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
First of all, shout out to RBC Heritage for the tweet. They get the show. Enjoyed watching Jordan Spieth win yesterday at Harbortown Stew. I know you weren't watching, but I was watching. Last weekend, since I wasn't here last week to do funniest thing from last weekend, George Russell and Lewis Hamilton had a moment on stage. They were doing like a fan thing for Mercedes. George Russell called Lewis Hamilton Mr. Hamilton, and Lewis Hamilton said, "Mr. Hamilton's my dad. I thought you were talking about my dad. It's Sir Lewis." And it was hilarious, Dan. It was so cute.
Lewis
they had
Hamilton,
a
get
cute
over
little
yourself with
giggly
your knighthood,
moment.
please.
Guess I had to
He
be
was
there.
knighted.
Jessica, do we have an F1 minute that we didn't get to last week? Or
Well,
do
the
you-
Australian Grand Prix was last week, Dan, but it was at 2 a.m., so I didn't watch it live. I watched the replay the next morning, and it was very exciting. Stugotz mentioned his weekend observations that Max Verstappen's car got retired. That was the most exciting thing from the weekend because Red Bull's car is fast, but it's not consistent at all. It will not last for the entire race. He's only been able to run one race so far of the 3 races, so now he's falling behind in the standings. Lewis is actually ahead of him, and Charles Leclerc looks like he might be the runaway winner for the season after only 3 races, which would be crazy, but I also wouldn't put it past Red Bull to make some changes to their car midway through the season and be able to come back because their car is really fast. They just need to be able to finish a race. We'll see what happens this week in Imola, Dan, because last week we had a little bit of a break between Australia and Imola, and then we have just 3 weekends the Miami Grand Prix. It's going to be fast. It's going to be loud. People are unhappy about how loud it's going to be, but Billy Corbin's covered all of that on Because Miami. It's going to be very exciting.
Wow. Okay. That
Excellent.
music. Nice work there.
Yeah.
Mike, what was the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
Stan Van Gundy tweeted, "Is there a woman that teaches? Is there a
Yes.
religion that teaches?" I'm not doing it.
Okay, that's fine. You wanted that too. Stugotz, you as well?
SVG.
Okay. I mean, the reason I wanted to throw it to you is because I'm guessing I can guess yours, but let's see what you've got.
I've got two. All right. So the one you probably guessed was the sound going out for the ESPN broadcast. And so they had to have the studio guys call the game, and it was Greeny and Stephen A. and Jalen. And Greeny did not know the name of any player. He was like, and the rebound by the Minnesota player. And this is just my opinion. Now, I don't know anything. And meanwhile, Stephen A. had to kind of jump in and let him know when someone had made a shot and kind of reset him there. I thought that was funny. But since we had a big football conversation, I'm surprised none of you guys came up with this one. Have you guys heard of the fan-controlled football league? Right?
Yes, I saw a highlight on my timeline.
So to give you guys a background here, it is a league where the fans literally vote on every play call, and the teams have to run the play call that the fans selected. And so they run this play, and T.O., that's right, the T.O. catches a touchdown. After the game, he says he wants a shot to get back in the NFL.
What happened with Stephen A. and the sound going out? How long did that last for? Because I
And what did it sound like, Amin?
Well, the sound sounded like this. But when it went out and they decided to go away, we got a little something like this. Now, the Minnesota Timberwolves have been very, very competitive all year long. But then comes Anthony Edwards coming and taking control in a do-or-die type situation, a hostile environment, Greeny. Now, this is just my opinion. Now, I don't know anything. Now, I'm not talking to anybody. Now, I have no sources. But somebody inbounded the basketball to a team in white. Jalen, I can't do Jalen, but Jalen would come in with like the most banal take ever. It's like, this is why the playoffs are so amazing.
That's how you do it.
That was pretty good.
That's how you have to do it.
You have to sound a little happier, but also sleepy.
Yeah.
Kind of like the smile without your eyes.
Yeah, I got to tell you something else. I mean, your fake technical difficulties, that was fantastic. It's exactly what my television sounded like. It was amazing.
But you sounded like you were delivering something that sounded between high and sedated.
For whomst?
For Jalen.
It does sound a little...
For Jalen.
It does sound a little sedated. He's chill.
I don't have he has a cool voice. I don't have the cool voice, right? I've got the high energy voice. So doing the cool voices sometimes can be a little difficult for me. But the funny thing, Stugotz, was everybody all across America thought it was just their TV. That was my favorite part.
Right.
Everyone's like,
I had to check out the channels.
All right, stay there. I mean, because I want to do Stugotz's weekend observations as well, because I did want to talk a little bit more about Stephen A. Jalen. You're reminded in those moments as we seize up and say Mike Breen had to be feeling pretty bad yesterday. I mean, because he said they waved it off, and just from broadcasting excellence standpoint, it's not a mistake that you can make. Although Mike Breen makes very few of them. I don't know how much criticism he's getting today because he waved off a historic basket as part of like that'll be a historic call. The idea that Tatum now in the way we tell these stories, Tatum's got to start having moments. I mean, Tatum's got to have Tatum's going to have to show you that he's got, the 30-point games. He's got more. Mike is sitting here making fun of the Celtics and their history, but Tatum now has more 30-point postseason games before the age of 25 than Bird. Like, the way that you write these stories is you beat the Nets.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, that stat does blow my mind as well. Also, Bird's career high in the playoffs, surprisingly low. He's never scored 50 points in an NBA playoff game. So that was also pretty impressive. That Jason Tatum, look, man, like he's figured it out, I think, and they figured out the right system around him. And yes, you kind of need those kind of moments, right? If you think about Larry Bird and his greatness, what do we think about really? We think about things like Bird saw the ball, like Johnny Most in that hoarse voice with just throat cancer sitting in the middle of it, talking about Larry Bird stealing the ball and passing it to Dennis Johnson for the layup. It's those moments that make us remember people.
That's a steal by Bird. My dust fakes.
What throat cancer?
No, Johnny Most. Yeah, Johnny Most.
A little
is
heavy on the
worse than
throat
that.
cancer.
And there's a steal by Bird.
Well, but Mike is pissed off just because Boston thinks it has more history than it does in basketball, and it's what this Ken Tremendous drags around, thinking Boston's superior in basketball when they haven't done very much recently. And what they did with Bird.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm with Mike on this one. I think I'm old enough to remember Larry Bird, so I include those championships. But the reality is they've won one title since the Reagan administration, right?
I think
they've won one title since
I think
since Black Friday.
I think he's good with the Bird Championships and the championships in the 80s. It's going back to Hondo and Tommy Heinsohn and guys like that.
You can honor those. I'm just saying me, Mike Ryan Ruiz, a 36-year-old man, vividly remembers one title in my lifetime from the Boston Celtics. So I don't have time for someone throwing banter in my face about all their history that happened before they were allowed to play black guys.
By the way, I'm also with you, Mike, in the people on the internet who puff their chests out about championships that they were either not alive for.
Can't relate to that at all with college football, really. Ken Tremendous needs to get over himself, right?
And that's a steal by Tommy Tucker.
I mean, he came after me during the Final Four because I said congrats to South Carolina, and then UConn played at like a 10:30 tip-off, and I didn't tweet about UConn winning their Final Four game, and he tweeted at me and started cyberbullying me. He's like, are you going to tweet about UConn? I'm like, no, obviously.
He would be mortified to think that he's a cyberbully, that ethicist, that
That's what I said. I quote tweeted him, and I said, is there a chapter in your book about cyberbullying? Is that ethical? And he didn't respond, Dan.
Ethicists also age poorly, old, decided to write a book about how to be perfect. Okay. Using all of life's philosophers throughout time.
You know who wasn't perfect? UConn, because they lost to South Carolina in the championship.
And you, because you're a cyberbully.
Are you saying tell me before life begins? I mean, it's easy to have the answers once you've lived life, right? I mean, have those answers. Give me life's philosophy before life starts.
That's not what I'm doing. I'm not turning.
That's what the true geniuses do, Dan.
That is not what I was doing, though, at all. We're going to get to Stugotz's weekend observations. I'm sure he's got many of them. Before we do that, give me the stat of the day music, though, please.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day.
Truly beautiful, Amin. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Stat of the day is presented by ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
From the NFL on CBS, Patrick Mahomes, a starter for 4 seasons, has more career passing touchdowns than Roger Staubach, than Joe Namath, than Bart Starr. Enough with your old-timey, from another generation of when football was a lot different. Your time was the best time, Bart Starr. Nonsense! Before we let go of Amin here, let's force him here to do weekend observations with Stugotz.
Together? Wow.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories, available for delivery. Dan, it shot across the sky like a rocket in the mid-'80s. The New Jersey Generals, the LA Express, Herschel Walker, Jim Kelly, Steve Young, and Donald Trump. It was a glorious time that quickly went away. But Dan, over the weekend, there was football on my television screen. I originally thought it was a replay of a Boston College Rutgers game. However, it was not. Because who would replay a Boston College Rutgers game? Answer, nobody. It was the Birmingham Stallions versus, Dan, brace yourself, the New Jersey Generals. And just like that, the USFL is back.
Whittingham, are you taking all of this? Because you took a beating there. Everybody ganged up on you, just thrilled that some minor league version of football is back in our lives.
I have the courage of my conviction, Dan. Terrible football is terrible.
Oh, what? Terrible pizza's like terrible sex or whatever the joke is.
What?
It's like terrible football.
Did you
It's
hear
always good even when it's bad.
And soccer sucks,
Yeah, football. Did you hear the names I just rattled off? Steve Young, Jim Kelly, Herschel Walker, Reggie Whites, Donald Trump.
Those were good football players.
The Minister of Defense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not all of them.
Right.
The Minister of Defense. It is a great It's a great
Doug
nickname.
Flutie.
You know what? I don't blame you for your entire analysis of an Arab just being the Minister of Defense. You know what? That's fine. You covered 15 years there and you did it well, kid.
Speaking of back, Terrell Owens. T.O. Terrell Owens. Top 5 former athletes who just won't go away. Number 5, Pete Rose.
Wow. This is a good list here.
The Hit King.
Yes.
Charlie Hustle. He just will not leave us alone.
Nope.
He won't.
In his 80s.
Yep.
Put him in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. Number 4, Jose Canseco.
Is he 80 yet? Is Pete Rose 80 yet?
I have no idea.
If he gets in, he dies, right?
I mean, they got to put him in already, don't they?
He's
Billy?
81.
Like, come on, baseball. Come on.
He is in the Hall of Fame. WWE Hall of Fame.
How about that?
A huge rivalry with Kane.
Mm-hmm. Number 3.
The sports are all taking gambling.
Terrell Owens.
Just put him in. Come on. Before he dies.
But that would be it. That would be the final nail in the coffin, wouldn't it?
Think so, yeah.
Final hit.
I'm not saying
Literal.
I'm not saying to
Literal now.
kill Pete Rose.
No, but it would. Like, that's his thing.
So you're saying he would prefer not to actually get it because this keeps him
His
alive.
driving
Keeps him
force.
alive, yeah.
And it keeps the economy roaring.
Mm-hmm. And it keeps him not going away. Yes.
Would you want him to go away? Do you want Pete Rose to go away?
No, I do not.
No.
So you think he's staying alive just to not get into the Hall of Fame? Put it on the poll.
I would argue that the Hall of Fame's keeping him out to keep him alive.
Yep.
Saving his life.
One of the few stories baseball has still.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Underreported.
Yep.
Get on that, Barry Jackson.
Mm-hmm. Number 2. Tim Tebow. Just won't go away. And number 1, A-Rod.
Your list is terrible.
What do you mean?
It's an awful list.
Top 5 former athletes who just won't go away.
The only person that I would put on my top 5 is Tim Tebow. He's my number 5.
Okay. Go ahead.
Number 4, controversial one, but Colin Kaepernick.
Not bad.
Number 3, Rick Barry.
I love Rick Barry.
Number 2 is Christmas. And number 1 is Aubrey Huff.
Christmas?
Aubrey Huff.
Yeah.
Still no OJ.
Oh,
on
I
either
like
list.
Greg Jennings.
No OJ.
No J.
Jeff Fisher should be on someone's list.
Here come the T-Wolves. I was going to put Lenny Dykstra on that list, but he actually went away.
Nails.
Yep. Dan, don't look now. But the New York Metropolitans are off to a 7-3 start. Are you looking?
Yeah, we looked at it.
Don't look, though,
Okay,
man.
Don't look.
Yes.
Okay.
Not now, I said.
Buck Showalter.
Yeah. Snow globes.
I've never seen Billy so happy at the resuscitation. I mean, is there anyone in basketball who does that for you? An old timer, a coach or an assistant coach who's been at it so long that you just marvel that they've been old your entire life and they keep getting jobs?
Hubie Brown.
One last run for Hubie Brown, you think? One last run?
Guy loves a mismatch in the paint.
Okay, here's the deal.
I saw the greatest tweet ever yesterday. It's Trill Withers tweeted out, Jesus rises from the dead, Hubie Brown. Now there you go.
It's a good tweet. Yes. Good use. Paul George literally did not show up for a big game.
Yeah. It's totally fair.
The Blue Jays are fun. Fun little team, huh, Dana?
I mean, it's just
they're fun. They mash.
Yeah, they've been mashing.
They got all like the kids from the guys I grew up watching. All the kids are on the same team. You got Biggio, you got Guerrero, you got them all.
Bichette.
Yep.
Conine, isn't there a Conine?
A Niner? A young Niner?
Is there a young Niner on that team?
No, he was on the Marlins now. Little Niner, yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Pelicans won by a needle. The Pels. The Bulls let one get away. Dan, you know what the M in Memphis stands for?
No.
Must win.
Oh, wow. We're already there.
Of course we are. You got to win that game. Can't go back to Minnesota down 0-2, Dan. Everyone knows that.
You'd be stunned if Memphis reeled off 4 straight after
ridiculous,
that.
Okay.
Okay, so must win. Amin, you agree with that? Must win?
For Memphis.
Sure, why not?
Thank you. Says the Cyclones. Now that you've done it, do it again. Then you'll impress me. Brunson, Bullock, Dinwiddie, Powell, Finney-Smith. That was a starting 5 in the NBA playoffs. A starting 5 with home court advantage. How?
They almost won also.
I know. Sources. Ben Simmons to begin practicing with the Nets. Well, that's nice. Dan, you know what the O in Ryan O'Neal stands for?
I do not.
Onions. Miami Marlins. Spunky. Jazz. Mavericks. The rare playoff series where neither team has a chance of winning an NBA title. Only losers in that series. Seriously. You agree, Amin?
Sure, why not?
Thank you. Nets, Celtics, the rare opening round playoff series where both teams have a good chance of winning an NBA title. Amin?
Sure, why
Thank
not?
you. Yep.
You're really contributing a lot to this segment, Amin.
You said do it together. We're doing it together. Don't insult the original. Thank you.
There you go.
Oh,
okay.
That's
now
all
you
I
got-
needed.
now
How
you
about,
got
how about
some-
this? I mean, you're the beeps.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Excellent.
Yeah, like what? I mean, you want to participate in this or what?
Go.
Don't insult the original death lineup by saying there's a new death lineup. There's not. Corey Kluber is a Ray. With 38 points on Saturday. You know what Tyrese Maxey had?
Coming out party.
A Dano! A coming out party! LeBron James tweeting that Ty Lue is the best coach in the NBA. Just before the Clippers blew a double-digit lead to get eliminated from the playoffs.
Oh, it's amazing, man. Amazing.
LeBron, the Stugotz is strong in you. Memphis Grizzlies, gotta walk before you run. USFL play-by-play
A
guy.
little sad. It was a little sad.
Generals throw one, and it's caught by a tight end. No names.
That's how Greeny did his.
It was so good. It was so good. The Generals go back to pass, and it's caught by a tight end.
I mean, give me some more Greeny play-by-play because he's the broadcaster for any occasion. He'll step into the breach and he'll cover you, except this is not his skill set. This is a totally different skill set.
And John Morant misses the shot. Now, this is just my opinion. He missed the shot. Oh, and it's rebounded by the Timberwolves, who pass it to another Timberwolf. Oh, Karl Anthony Towns at the dunk. Wow.
And then he's silent for 20 minutes as he just lets Stephen A. and Jalen talk.
If Zach Steffen is the starting goalkeeper for the United States in Qatar, we'll be eliminated after the first game. Soccer's dead.
Oh, no.
I laid down on my office floor over the weekend to do sit-ups. My wife could only see my legs. She rushed into the office, wondering if I had a heart attack or a stroke. What are you laughing at? She did.
Did you?
No, but I understand her concern. What are you doing in there? I didn't respond because I was huffing and puffing.
It's funny.
How many did you do?
I did, well, I had the ab roller. So I did 40 straight, 20 to each side. And man, am I sore.
You look good.
Thank you.
That's the fraud chicken bell right there.
You look good. You look good because you did 40 crunches.
Well, 20 on the sides.
Yeah.
No, he didn't.
Justin Verlander is from another time.
Yeah.
It's like 3 years ago, though. What happened to baseball? Robbie Anderson. Never has an athlete talk more and accomplish less than you. Congratulations.
Is Baker Mayfield his quarterback now, Mike? What's the
He doesn't
latest
want
there?
him. Who's Robbie Anderson?
There was an Instagram post saying that the Carolina Panthers were interested in Baker Mayfield. That one insider predicted that's where Baker Mayfield would play next season. Robbie Anderson, active wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers, commented, "No," because he has Sam Darnold, and life is pretty good for him, I guess.
Knicks executives.
They cost the same, right? Baker and Sam Darnold cost the same, right?
Roughly, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, but Sam Darnold,
Same draft class.
that's over though, isn't it? Like Baker Mayfield
Not
is
for
not,
Robbie Anderson.
At least with Baker, I think there's more of a question.
Yes.
but Baker Mayfield is not Sam Darnold. Like that's an upgraded quarterback.
Baker's better, yes.
Yeah.
Why would Robbie Anderson be so bad at player evaluation?
He likes Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold looks to throw him the ball.
He's been at two spots with Sam Darnold and had his career year when he finally got away from him for 1 year. But probably knows Baker has a terrible reputation inside the league now.
It's too bad. Knicks executives and Julius Randle attended Game 1 of the Mavs-Jazz series. Here's an idea. Have your own playoff game to attend. I hate them. Death. Taxes. And Brandon Belt.
Yes, it's so true.
Dan with 36 points in his first playoff game. Do you know what Anthony Edwards did on Saturday? You have to know, Dan.
Coming out party?
He announced himself.
He announced himself.
Yes, he did.
He announced his arrival.
Mm-hmm. Dan, we lost one of the great natural goal scorers in NHL history. Mike Bossy. Top 5 natural goal scorer of all time. Number 5, Alexander Ovechkin. Thank you, Mike.
Yes.
I thought we were just going to mean.
We're going to give you a break here, I mean. We're going to give you some fanfare. I know this is where we are testing your stamina right out of the box. So take a break here, and Stugotz will fill her with a top 5 list that everybody wants to hear about.
Number 4, Maurice Richard, the Rockets. Number 3, Pavel Bure, the Russian Rocket.
Also the Rocket.
Number 2 is Christmas. And number 1, Boss. Here come the Blues. Mike, the Blues are good. They're going to be a problem for somebody.
I mean, Colorado's good. Calgary's good.
Yeah. Rosie.
I mean, you're back on the clock.
Okay. Rosie Sasaki is going to get $1 billion from the Dodgers. Generals quarterback Luis Perez can sling it. You know what the H in Miami Heat stands for, Dano?
I do not.
Held serve. Trey Young. Do it in Miami at 1 p.m. after a Saturday night on the beach. Good luck. Al Horford. KG vet.
Oh, my God.
He's so good.
So much KG vet.
From a different time.
Well, yes, him and Justin Verlander galloping up the court together.
If the Celtics win a title, Marcus Smart will be a top 5 Celtic role player of all time.
They have to win a title for that?
They have to win the title. Current list is Rick Roby, Bill Walton, Quinn Buckner, Greg Kite, and Danny Ainge.
No, come on.
If they win, Smart replaces Roby. Ainge will never be replaced. You guys are never.
desecrating. You guys are now. You're blasphemous.
I only remember one of those players playing, and he was a Phoenix Sun.
Boston's past. Come on. You guys are disrespectful of all of Boston's past.
With a loss over the weekend, Jeff Fisher is now just 7 consecutive losses away from his dream. A 178 and 1 career coaching record. Mike Bossy, at least you know in heaven you'll be protected By the G-Man. Talking about Clark Gillies, of course. The T in Tatum stands for testicles.
Yes.
Hell am I doing? I'm almost 50. Speaking of hell.
Sit-ups.
Art Briles. I did 40. Should have did a 50 burger. Dan, those are the weekend observations.